Hey there, and welcome to more Lost Odyssey Odds and Ends. I've run into another, what I'm assuming is going to be Thousand Years of Dreams segment. Let us go. Yep. Just in case you're wondering what I'm doing right now, I'm going through and finding, trying to find all of Tolton's royal box things. Uh, it's alright, nothing's been very exciting. A lot of retreading old ground. Items are cool, but so far, really only he can use them. So far. So long, friend. Even when he is trying to look detached, his true feelings show through. He is timid, cowardly, and gentle. He might try his best to put on a threatening expression, but the smile that comes afterward is indescribably sweet and almost worshipful. This is why Kime is always telling him to forget it. This happens when they are perched on bar stools, or earning a day's pay in the quarry, or walking through the marketplace, or standing on the stone-paved roadway. But why, big brother? Tobal. Like the PS1 game? Okay. Tobal says with a pout. He always calls Kime big brother, and though Kime has never asked for his companionship, he takes every opportunity to follow him around. He is worshipful in this sense. Please take me with you, big brother Kime, when you leave this town. He begs like a child, and even though he is old enough to have a regular job. I don't know where I got that in from. Sailing over the ocean, crossing continents, traveling anywhere you like. My heart starts pounding when I imagine that kind of freedom, he says, his eyes shining like a child's. Pardon? I always wanted to meet a traveler like you, big brother. Take me with you, please. I can't stand this hick town anymore. He would grab Kime's hand and cling to it like a little boy, and often he would look around at the people on the street or the crowds in the tavern, openly making boyish faces at them to show Kime his disgust. You come from another town, so you know what I'm talking about. The only thing this place has is its history. Sure, it's old, but it's half dead. Look at these people's faces. Not one of them has any spark. All they want is to get through one ordinary day after another without any problems. It's the worst place in the world. If I have to stay cooped up here much longer, I'm gonna have moss growing on me. No spark? Kime doesn't see it that way. People here behave with a refinement and mild manner appropriate to a historic city known as the Ancient Capital. They simply have no taste for the kind of ambitions that go with high hopes or danger. Danger. Having never set foot outside this place where he was born and raised, Tobal knows nothing about other towns. Kime knows all too much about them. There are those that used to be the left and right banks of a single town separated only by a river, but which now clash in hatred and intense and ongoing war. Towns in the grip of famine where the residents snatch food from one another. Economically flourishing towns rampant with crime driven by greed. Towns of rotting houses abandoned by their people in search of wealth and prosperity while, just over the hill, there sparkle boom towns where the people celebrate the riches all night long. On his endless journey, Kime has seen towns without number, and he not only thinks to himself but says to Tobal, "This is a good town." But praise is the last thing Tobal wants to hear about his hometown. "You must be joking," he says. "Not at all," says Kime. "This is a really good town." "I'm telling you, that can't be true. No place is perfect, of course. I'm not talking about perfection. You've only been here 6 months or so. You don't know. I've been stuck in this hick town since the day I was born. You can't know how I feel. I'm bored out of my mind. I'm sick of the place. I can't stand it anymore." It's going more Boston on me than New Jersey. Kime is not unaware of what Tobal is trying to tell him. Still, but no. Kime shakes his head and gives Tobal a sour smile. You know, he says, there are some people in this world who would give anything to get a taste of what it's like to have enough peaceful days to make you bored. Well, that may be so. I think you were lucky to have been born in a town like this, where the people are so happy. When you sleep in an inn in this town, you don't have to keep your ear cocked all night for threatening sounds in the hallway. Young women can walk the streets at night without a dagger for protection. The children have plenty of plain but nourishing food, and they can play outdoors until the sun goes down. Life on the road teaches you these things. The more towns you see, the more deeply the lesson leaves its mark on you. The kinds of things that Tobal takes for granted are in fact the indispensable keys to happiness. I'm not so sure, big brother. Isn't happiness making your own dreams come true? If all you need to do is go on living in peace and security, what's the point of living at all? Tobal is not just being perverse and arguing for the sake of arguing. Eyes locked on Kimes, he is asking these questions in all seriousness and sincerity. That's too many S sounds. My tooth and tongue situation doesn't like that. Kime recognizes that Tobal is an absolutely straightforward fellow, and that, precisely because he had a comfortable, untroubled upbringing, he has come to feel constrained in the town where he was born. The irony of it all calls forth a twinge of pain in Kime's breast. This in turn provokes him to challenge Tobal. So tell me, what is your dream? My dream? That's obvious, isn't it? To get the hell out of this place as soon as possible. And go where? Anywhere. Anywhere but here. And what will you do when you get there? I don't know. What if you end up someplace that's not at all what you were expecting? I said I don't know, didn't I? Stop being so hard on me, big brother. I'm not being hard on you. These are things you have to think about. Well, I've had enough. An outsider like you can't possibly know how I feel. Though he stalks away in anger, Tobal will be back in the morning, as worshipful as ever of his big brother. He has the simple, carefree personality of a child. Tobal has a wife, the young, still girlish Angela, whom he has known since childhood. Angela carries within her the crystallization of their love. Tobal will soon become a father. Tobal's parents, relatives, and friends shower their blessings upon the young couple, who will soon be young parents. But Tobal says to Kime, I don't want this. Glowering, he all but spits the words out as the two sit at the far end of the tavern's bar. Don't want to be a father, Kime asks, which only increases the bitterness of Tobal's expression. Tobal nods, but as if to negate the answer, he mutters, No, I'm glad enough to have a kid. How could I not be happy about that? But, I don't know. I just don't want this. He can't quite put it into words, he says. He cocks his head a few times as if to explain himself, and then he swigs down his liquor. You don't have a family, do you, big brother? No, I don't. What does it feel like to be all alone in the world? Kime's only answer is a strained smile. Tobal interprets Kime's expression and silence to suit himself. You're absolutely free, right? Of course you are. No load to bear, no leg irons. I don't know why I'm making Tobal a little drunk, but I like it. You think kids are leg irons? In a word, yeah. To tell the truth, Angela is too. My parents, when they get old, they'll be another burden. Working every day for Angela and the kid, and raising the kid, taking care of my old parents, and my life ends. That's what the birth of a child is. It's like a life sentence. You're stuck. Kime does not nod in agreement with this. Neither does he try to argue against it. I'm increasingly on Tobal's side here. Although I get why Kime wouldn't be. But also, shouldn't have knocked up your girlfriend before that happened. Or wife, actually. Tobal interprets the silence too, as he sees fit. I know what you're thinking, he frowns. Shut up, kid. You don't know what you're talking about. Kime says nothing. Tobal, uncomfortable, looks away. I'm glad, he says, more to himself than to Kime. I'm glad to be having a kid with Angela. I'm going to do everything I can for him. It's true. I wouldn't lie to you. You have to believe me, big brother. I really am happy. And I know I'm going to have to work hard. Yes, I know, says Kime. I'm happy, but at the same time, I don't want it. It's not that I'm embarrassed about it or anything. It's just that, I don't know. I want to give up this whole business and run away somewhere. Far away. So now the truth comes out, Kime says with a laugh. What do you mean? You just said you want to run away, not travel. This is probably Tobal's true feeling, to which he gives grudging assent. I suppose so. How else can I put it? Kime almost wishes he had been a little tougher on Tobal. How would Tobal answer if he said, for example, you know, Tobal, you started talking about traveling with me around the time Angela's belly started to swell. What would the look on Tobal's face be like if he asked, if a family is leg irons, why did you even propose to Angela? How would Tobal shift his gaze if confronted with, you know, Tobal, if you want to get yourself out of this town so bad. Sorry. So badly. You don't have to travel with me. Just take off by yourself. But Kime doesn't have the meanness to ask such questions, nor is he given to meddling in people's private affairs. Instead, he drains his cup of its last few drops and says only, let's get out of here. Even after they left the tavern, Tobal goes on about the stupidity of living the rest of his life in this town. The broad night sky is clear, the moon is out, and perfectly round. I'm asking you again, big brother. When you leave this town, just say the word to me. Wouldn't it be better for you, too, to have a traveling companion? Tobal is starting to go in circles again when Kime interrupts him. Didn't you want to get out of here all by yourself? Traveling with a companion is not exactly a solo trip. No, well, you see, you're right. I just go part way with you. You can let me tag along a little while, and I'll take off on my own. You just slow me down. I know that. Traveling is hard, sure. My life might even be in danger sometimes. I know that. But that's what makes it so thrilling. Risking your life is no game. Look, if I turn out to be a drag on you, you can just leave me behind. That's it. I wouldn't mind that. I mean, look, I'm already ready to leave my parents and my wife and kid behind. This is never going to end. Kime nods with a sigh says, all right. You'll take me with you? Tobal's face lights up. I've been in this town too long, says Kime. It's about time for me to get out there walking with the wind in my face. Like the travelers. Yeah, that's it. Walk with the wind in your face. Life on the road. When do we leave? It's getting pretty late in the year. You don't want to be on the road in the winter, do you? Say, how about after the snow in the pass has melted? Kime points to the moon hanging in the night sky. Eh? Tobal seems puzzled as he looks up. The night the moon is perfectly round again after it's waned and waxed, meaning exactly 1 month from tonight. Tobal's face starts to move as if he wants to say something. He probably wants to say, that's too soon, His face betrays a look of hesitation and confusion that was absent when he was engaged in his usual endless chatter. A month from now. It's the middle of winter, big brother. I know that. Won't it be hard getting through the pass? You don't want to go? No, that's not it. If you don't like it, you don't have to come with me. I'm leaving the night of the next full moon. That's all there is to it. Okay then, big brother. I'll go. I'm definitely in. The night of the next full moon. Angela would be having her baby right about then. The month slips by. Toward the beginning, Tobal is excited. Whenever they meet, he reminds Kaim, "Don't forget your promise, big brother." After the waning moon has disappeared from the sky, however, he begins to grow more reserved. The vanished moon reappears in the sky, and as it waxes little by little, Tobal stops trailing after Kaim. Sometimes he goes so far as to slip away through the crowd when he sees Kaim approaching in the marketplace. Kaim notices Tobal's change in attitude. It is something he expected to happen, and was even counting on. Hands upon her swollen belly, Angela wears a smile of deep serenity as she shops at the market. Not just Tobal, but everyone who encounters that smile of hers must surely come to realize this. The dreams of the young, to be sure, involve doing what you want to do, but that is not the only kind of dream there is. When people grow up, they see that there is another kind of dream, and that is to wish for the smile of the one you love and who loves you in return, to long for it always and forever. That is another kind of dream that people come to understand when they grow up. But then... The moon is full again. In its perfect roundness, the moon floods the empty stone-paved road with brilliant light. Tobal comes running, out of breath, to the empty room where Kaim has completed his preparations for travel. Tobal is carrying nothing. He has not even changed out of his everyday clothing. "Big brother, I'm sorry," he pants, gasping for breath. He ducks his head repeatedly before Kaim in apology. "You changed your mind?" Kaim asks, trying not to smile. "No, not at all. I'm gonna go. I'm planning to go with you, big brother. Only..." Angel went into labor as the sun was going down, he says. They called the town's most skilled and experienced midwife, but Tobal still hasn't heard the baby cry. The birth is taking much longer than it should. Angela's given it everything she's got. My mother and father are praying for all they're worth, so at least until the baby's safely born, I want to stay with Angela. She says it calms her down to hold my hand, so, well, I really can't leave her now. Kaim nods to him with full understanding. "So please, big brother, wait just a little longer. As soon as I've seen the baby born, I'll leave home. I swear, I'll definitely go. So just a little longer." Even as he speaks, his feet are stamping impatiently on the ground with eagerness to rush back home. It's kind of messed up he left that to come see Kaim, to say this here. I don't know about this Tobal guy, that's all I'm saying. "I understand," says Kaim. "I'll wait until the moon is directly overhead in the night sky." "Don't worry, it won't take that long. We'll just have to wait a little while, just a very short while." "No hurry, but on the other hand, I want you to promise me one thing." "What's that?" "When the baby is born, I want you to hold it in your arms. Don't come back here until you've held that baby. Understood?" Tobal looks at him with a puzzled expression, but he nods in agreement and says, "Understood. I will do exactly that, big brother." Christ, I'm sorry. Gassy. "So be sure to wait for me." Tobal charges out of the room with even greater force than when he came in. The sound of his footsteps running on the stone pavement draws way, and when Kaim is sure he's gone, a smile slowly spreads across his face. Tobal never comes back. As the moon reaches its zenith and begins to dip towards the west, signs of light appear in the eastern sky. Kaim approaches the mountain pass on the edge of town. He will be traveling alone. Heading up to the pass, he walks swiftly, as if to shake off the sound of Tobal's voice remaining in his ears. Big Brother Kaim, I'm sorry. Big Brother Kaim, I'm sorry. He can imagine the voice all too clearly, and Tobal bowing his head in abject apology. There is no need for him to hear the actual voice. Long after he has left the town, he will continue to see Tobal's worshipful smile in the eye of his mind. Tobal would not have provided much support as a traveling companion, but a journey together would likely have given them both much to laugh about. But never mind. This is just fine, Kaim tells himself, and ups his pace even more. Aw, Kaim's a little sad. Misses his little buddy. Robin to his Batman, but... oh, okay. He is not the least bit resentful or angry at Tobal for having broken his promise. Quite the contrary. He would like to bless Tobal for having chosen to stay in his native place and protect his home. All the more so because this is a dream that can never come true for Kaim himself. A frigid wind tears through the pre-dawn pass. The cries of a newborn baby could ride on that wind to be heard up here. Kaim chuckles at the thought. Will Tobal abandon his dream to leave his hometown? Will he start looking for another big brother who will help him conceal his fear of going on the road alone? Kaim has no way to tell. Best to leave it unresolved. Tobal could not take to the road the night his child was born. The hands with which he held his newborn baby were useless for travel preparations. If only for that reason, he took one step towards becoming a grown-up. Let's go, Kaim mutters to himself as he crosses over the pass. Look, Angela, he's smiling. The happy smile that Tobal fixes on his baby will be a travel companion enough for Kaim until he reaches the next town. End. Alright. Well, I will catch you the next time one of these pops up. Or anything happens. We'll see. Bye. Hey, here we are with another 1,000 Years of Dreams segment. Man, I'm in the middle of grinding. I just got my second dose of the vaccine today. My arm's just starting to get sore. Kind of annoyed I gotta do this. Not that I have to, but kind of annoyed that it happened, and I feel compelled to do it. Oh no. Hold on. What is that bullshit? God damn you, Chroma Cam. Just this little thing hanging on. Yeah, fine, close it, whatever. Although it's odd that my face is still on without the Chroma Cam. Weird. Anyways, now I have to ask. Jesus Christ. I guess it'll wait. A dream has been revealed. Get off there. Nobody wants to see my available hour count. The ranking of lives. A terrible epidemic is ravaging the kingdom. The onset of the disease is sudden. Due to genetic or perhaps hormonal factors, it strikes only males. The victim experiences a high fever, a violent headache, and often a swift death. The disease does have two hopeful aspects. First of all, once an individual survives it, he need not fear catching it again. From then on, he has immunity. Secondly, an extremely effective medicine exists. If used preventatively or in the initial stages of the disease. Geez, there it goes. The drug, a tablet made primarily from a plant that grows in the mountains, almost always results in a cure. Does this mean people can relax and that there is no need to worry? Unfortunately not, for an ironic twist of fate is something that life tends to thrust upon people all too often. The high-altitude plant used to make the medicine, so... My God, am I getting fog brain from the vaccine? No, I just get tongue-tied easy. The high-altitude plant used to make the medicine that is so effective in prevention and early cure is extremely rare, verging on extinction. In other words, there is not enough medicine for all the kingdom's subjects, only for certain people, the rich. It's always the fucking rich. I hope the plant gives them all a bad disease. Do you see what I mean? Asked Doc, a quiet man on patrol in the capital's marketplace with his fellow military policeman Kime. Sending his sharp gaze down one alley after another, Kime responds, "You're saying that rank people decide who gets the medicine?" "Exactly," says Doc. "In deciding the rank order, they brand us as either subjects indispensable to the nation, or other subjects. Capital military policemen will receive their medicine relatively early, which demonstrates their rankings as subjects indispensable to the nation. I don't know the difference between military police and regular police, but regular police do have this odd history. They're not there to protect the people. They're there to protect the property." "I guess it makes sense," Doc goes on. "If all of us were to keel over, order in the capital would break down like nothing. We always have to be the picture of health as we patrol the city, right, Kime? For the sake of the homeland, as they say." "I suppose so. First the royal family gets the medicine, then the royal guards, third come the politicians, and then the financiers who run the country's economy, the police and firemen, doctors, and finally us, the Capital Military Police. There's not enough to just give it to anybody." Doc all but spits out those final words, and he asks, "What do you think, Kime? Ordinary subjects are people too. Is it okay to rank them like that?" In theory, Kime should be able to reply without hesitation. That, of course, it is not okay. But realistically speaking, he says, there's no way around it. He averts his gaze from Doc's as he hears himself saying these words. "No way around it, huh?" he mutters with obvious distaste. "Maybe you're right. Maybe there is no way around it." He sounds as if he is trying to convince himself. In fact, it does seem to be the only means open to them. "The folks here in the marketplace know about the disease, obviously." "Obviously," answers Doc. "If their fears get the better of them, they could riot at any time." "Absolutely." "We can just manage to keep the peace by patrolling the streets like this." "I know what you mean." If we were to succumb to the disease, their lives would be put at all the more risk. If we can't dose every subject in the kingdom, all we can do is think about how best to keep the harm or the impact of the disease to an absolute minimum." "I couldn't have said it better myself, Kime. You get a perfect score. Good job." His words of praise carry obvious barbs. Sensing their presence, Kime falls silent. Underlying Doc's sharp comment is not only the pain of biting sarcasm, but the sorrow of helplessness. Two children, a boy and a younger girl, run past them, laughing. Dressed in rags, they had probably come from the slum behind the market to gather scraps of vegetables little better than garbage. Doc points to their receding forms and says, "I'd like to ask you a question, Kime." "Alright. Are those kids subjects indispensable to the nation?" Kime has no answer for him, because he knows the right answer all too well. He can only lapse into silence. Responding to Kime's silence with a bitter smile, Doc goes on. "According to your logic, Kime, if those kids fall sick and die, there's no way around it. Or at least Capitol Police like us have a greater right to medicine than those kids do. Am I right, Kime? Isn't that what you're saying?" Kime could hardly declare that he was wrong. Responding again to Kime's silence, Doc says, "Now don't misunderstand me. I'm not attacking you. It's just that everybody is indispensable to somebody, even those kids. They may be just a nuisance to the state, poor beggars, but to their parents, they are indispensable lives that must be protected at all costs. Am I wrong?" What a kind-hearted fellow, Kime thinks. Maybe too kind, to a degree that could prove fatal for a soldier. From the direction of the castle comes the sound of the great bell. An emergency assembly signaled to the soldiers patrolling the streets. The medicine seems to have arrived for them. "Let's head back," Doc pipes up, apparently emerging from his gloom. "Let's be good boys and take the miraculous medicine that's going to save our lives and protect the kingdom." Oh, jeez. Sorry. The sorrow-filled thorns sprouting from his words pierced Kime through the heart. It is the following day when Doc tells Kime of his plan to desert. "I'm only telling this to you, Kime," he says when they are patrolling the marketplace again. "I know the punishment for desertion is harsh. I'm not sure I can make it all the way, and if I'm caught, I know I'll be court-martialed and executed." He's resigned himself to that possibility, he says, which is why he wants to make sure that Kime knows the purpose of his desertion. "I'm not betraying this country and the army. I just have to deliver this." In his open palm lies the tablet he was issued the day before. "You didn't take it?" Kime asks, shocked. "No, I fooled them," he chuckles, immediately turning serious again and closing his open hand. "You're gonna deliver this tablet?" "Uh-huh." Doc holds out his hand now, pointing towards the mountains south of the capital. "At the foot of those mountains is the village where I was born. My wife and son are there. He's just 5 years old and he's been sickly since the day he was born. If he gets the disease, it's all over for him." "So you're gonna give him the medicine? Do you think it's wrong of me to do that?" Transfixed by Doc's stare, Kime is at a loss for words. Suddenly, the gentle Doc's eyes betray a murderous gleam. "I may be a soldier dedicated to protecting the nation, but before that, I am the father of a son. And before that, I am a human being. I don't give a damn about the kingdom's ranking of lives according to whether or not they are indispensable. I want to save the life of one human being who is indispensable to me." Doc's eyes take on added strength. They are bloodshot now, clear proof of his resolve. "If I leave now, I can be back in the barracks by roll call tomorrow morning. If I leave home as soon as I give him the medicine, so I'm at... Oh, I butchered that. If I leave now, I can be back in the barracks by roll call tomorrow morning. If I'll leave home as soon as I give him the medicine. So I'm asking you to do me this one favor. Don't cause any commotion until then." "No, of course not, but... I'm not sure I can make it. But I am sure my body will die if I just stay here. He'll pull through if he has the medicine. Oh, my boy. God, why am I doing this? But I am sure my boy will die if I just stay here. He'll pull through if he just has the medicine. But why'd I have to just? I'm not sure if I can make it, but I am sure my boy will die if I just stay here. He'll pull through if he has the medicine. If there's even the slightest possibility of that, I have no choice. I have to take a chance." "They'll kill you if they catch you." "I don't care. I can die with my pride, knowing I did it to save the life of the one person most important to me. What if you get sick? All I can do is leave it up to fate," Doc smiles. "Human beings can't do anything about fate, But I want to do everything I can as a human being. This is why Doc has revealed his plans to Kime. One more thing, Kime. If they kill me, or if I get sick and die, I hope I can depend on you to visit my village sometime and tell my wife and son what happened. Make sure they know that I didn't desert because I got fed up with the army. I did it to save my son's life. Maybe it is the vaccine. I'm messing with more than usual. Which is something that is way more important to me than army rules, and even more important than my whole own life. He will be satisfied as long as that message gets through, he says with a smile. Kime has no way to reply to this. Not that Kime fully accepts everything Doc has said to him. He is convinced not so much by the man's reasoning, as he is overwhelmed by something that transcends reasoning, by the power of life, by the strength and depths of Doc's desire to save a life precisely because it is something that will eventually be cut off by death. I'm gonna make a run for it while we're patrolling the marketplace. I'm asking you to look the other way. Tell them I disappeared when you took your eyes off me for a split second. Kime can do nothing but accept Doc's plea in silence. He sees that deep in the hearts of those who love finite life, Okay, sorry, it took me a second to get the meaning of that. He sees that deep in the hearts of those who love finite life is a place that cannot be entered by those who have been burdened irrevocably with life everlasting. The two men reach the far end of the marketplace. Alright then, sorry to put you through this, Doc says. He turns toward the exit and is about to plunge into the crowd when it happens. A child comes bounding out of the alleyway. It is the same shabbily dressed girl from the slums who ran past the men yesterday, laughing. Today, she is alone and crying her head off. She looks around with wild eyes, and when she spots Kime and Doc in uniform, she comes running to them, shouting, "Help! Help!" "What's the matter?" Doc asks. She takes his hand and leads him into the alleyway as if to prevent the surrounding people from hearing what she is about to tell him. "It's my brother," she blurts out. "He's sick. He's got a high fever and he's shaking all over. You've got to do something or he's gonna die." Kime and Doc look at each other. "How about your parents? Don't you have a father or mother to take care of him?" Kime asks. "What parents?" the girl retorts tearfully. "They both died a long time ago. There's just me and my big brother. Oh, please help him. Please." "But I was just..." Doc mutters, fidgeting, ready to run. He looks at Kime with pleading eyes. Kime kneels down and looks at the girl straight in the eye. "When did his fever start?" he asks. "Just a few minutes ago," she says. "We were leaving to pick up vegetable scraps and he fell down." Only a little time has passed since the disease struck. He could still be saved by the medicine. But of course, there is no medicine for slum children. Judging from the girl's wasted frame, her brother must also be eating poorly. The disease will almost surely ravage his malnourished body and snatch his life in a matter of hours. The girl will not come down with the disease, of course, but even if it cannot attack her directly, once she has lost the only other member of a family and has no one to take care of her, the tiny thing is bound to trace the same fatal path as her parents and brother sooner or later. "Please, help my brother. Please." She clings to Kime and Doc, huge tears streaming down her cheeks. Kime gives her a slight, silent nod. He rises slowly and reaches for a small leather pouch dangling from his sword hilt. Before he can lay hold of it, he hears Doc saying to the girl, "Don't worry." Doc is holding out his hands to her, smiling gently. In the palm of his hand is a tablet. "Give this to your brother," Doc says. "There's still time to save him." The girl gives him a puzzled look and hesitates until he urges her, "Hurry, do it now." She reaches for it uncertainly and takes it in hand with great care. "Hurry home now," Doc says with a smile for her. The girl dashes off. "Thank you, thank you, thank you." Her shrill, tearful voice rings out as she disappears into the alleyway. "I'm glad it worked out like this, Kime," Doc says with a shrug and a pained smile. "So now I won't be branded a deserter, and I won't have to give you anything to worry about. No, this is a good thing. He sounds as if he is trying to convince himself. He even nods deeply in agreement. Surely, he cannot have done this without regrets, especially if his son at home should take sick and die. His voice is calm, however, as he says, I couldn't help it. When I saw that little girl crying like that, I know my son would understand. He gives himself another deep nod. Still, Doc. Never mind. Don't say a thing. Doc cuts him off and squints toward the alleyway the girl ran down. There's absolutely no rank order to lives. The only thing that matters is to save a life you see with your own two eyes. I know what you mean, says Kime. Just because I saved one slum kid's life, there's no guarantee he'll grow up to be a credit to the nation. Maybe all I succeeded in doing was prolonging the life of yet another drag on the state. Maybe after I get back to the barracks, I'll start thinking of other people I should have saved instead of him. On the other hand, Kime, he says, interrupting himself and turning to look at Kime as he considers yet another possibility. On the other hand, I look at it this way too. Maybe it is just a matter of innate human instinct to want to save the life before your eyes. Maybe we'll learn those other kinds of ranking later. For the nation, or for the people, or even for my son. I may have failed as a soldier or a father, but I think I did the right thing as a human being. Doc stops himself there and starts walking without waiting for Kime to reply. He might be trying to hide his embarrassment at his own tortured reasoning. I like this Doc guy. He's honest about what he is, and he's a genuinely good person. Seeing this, Kime produces a laugh and calls out to Doc as casually if he were suggesting they go to the tavern for drinks. Hey, Doc. Uh-huh. You forgot this. Now Kime finishes what he interrupted before, reaching for the leather pouch tied to his sword hilt. From it, he takes a small pill. What? You mean... I didn't take it. Incapable of losing his life to a disease, Kime had no use for the medicine to begin with. Of course, he had no intention of telling Doc about that. Even if you were trying to tell him that he'd lived 1,000 years, it's not likely that Doc would take him seriously. You have a family, Doc. Lives you'd give anything to protect. That is a great thing. Now, Kime holds out a hand with the tablet in the way Doc did earlier to the girl. I envy you, he says with a smile. Wait, Kime, wait. Hey, I mean, you... I don't have a family, he says, increasing the depth of his smile. Responding to Kime's smile, with its mixture of loneliness and warmth, Doc silently accepts the tablet. Well now, would you look at that beautiful blue sky, says Kime. I think I'll just stand here a while, looking up at it, not thinking about anything at all. This might be a good time for you to run home to your son. Kime does as he says, looking up at the sky. Before long, he hears the sound of footsteps running across the stone pavement. Make sure you come back alive, Doc, Kime mutters. Kime strolls along, looking up at the blue sky, until he disappears into the marketplace crowd. End. It was kind of touching. I mean, you kind of have to know Kime is not going to take the pill. He'll give it to Doc in the end, but still, it's good to see what a nice guy Doc is. Good to hear about some good in the world. Alright, well, I'll probably have more of these as we go, but for now, bye. Hey, and we're back with another 1,000 Years of Dreams segment, I assume. Either that or Tolton is just having a moment for himself. Tolton was just having a moment for himself. Okay, see if we have one of those moments. 1,000 Years of Dreams moment. Bye. And I've run across another thing that looks like it could be a 1,000 Years of Dreams segment. Or just a treasure hunt. We'll see. It was just a treasure hunt. God damn it. Hey, and welcome back for some more Lost Odyssey. At this point, I think I need to start going to Numara, but I don't really know. So I'm gonna try it. Oh. Okay, maybe I have to actually land here. No. Huh. Maybe I have to physically drive the thing to the port of Numara? Seems plausible. So up to this point, I have done a fair amount of grinding. Not so much for experience, because there are hard caps on that, but mostly for, what's the word I want here? SP. Skill points. My apologies if you hear double audio. I try to keep my speakers pretty low, but yeah, these things just don't turn out sometimes. Team still looks fine. I should give everybody better equipment. So far, these things only do, like, physical attacks. I don't think it'll try turning anybody to stone. I'm just a little tired today. I've been a little tired a lot lately. Guess I've a big fire beam. Nullifies fire damage, okay. I don't want to mess around too much. We'll see if this thing kills me, and if I need to really mess with stuff. Electron, why not? Yeah. We're all level 50-ish, and we know everybody's skills. Although I do understand that everybody gets one more skill after this. I don't know why Janssen and Sed get one less, but let's have a cookie crumbles. I think it's 52 or 53 they get their last one now. Anyways, let's go fight an Arthur. The source I saved recently enough. Guess I was supposed to run away from it or something. Just attack. See if he has anything risk time. No. Said got really good. Okay, no more force. We're going Linda. He's also the only one that can do damage back or the back row, and not have to face the whatever GC stands for. Guard. Count. Didn't he always do such better moves? Okay, here we go, heat breath. Glad I used that fire thing. Should have took that pretty hard. Oh, he's almost up there. It says you're on run. Kind of treasure I can find during this very, very strange minigame. Driving skills, cool. Let's go after these two first. And that should probably heal. Well, now that I know they do fire stuff, I should just go ahead and set the thing that nullifies it. And they don't have the skill, so I can just go ahead and take off the fire charm too, and give them all the skill, and we'll all be hunky-dory. Oh, I just said hunky-dory. Sure, defense boost. petrifying, that's for sure, so... Fireproof. Anti-petrify was really necessary for a bit there, and I was level grinding beneath the Gungora's Palace thing. It's right near the bottom. Okay. Because those enemies, every time they hit you, had a good chance of doing some, oh my god, my brain! I had a good chance of petrifying everything that hit you. This is how I wanted to finish that thought. Alright, we're all fireproof. They made it seem like putting them to sleep was pretty important. Let's see if I can just kill them. I think I like that better. Probably go a little faster. Fire breath. Hell yeah. You're nothing to me, Archosaurus. Well, use that. I love when you get through these fights without taking any damage. I'm taking increased damage from that. Is he not ground-based? Oh, they change elements. So maybe not everyone is going to do fire breath. Really should have noticed that faster. Oh, and I took off the anti-petrification. I feel a food. That's gotta go back on. Persistence. And I'll have to give him something for that too. She's not really using Spirit Magic right now. I'd love to get some more slots on her, though. I guess they're not sealing us right now. They could start again any time. Still. Better petrified than sealed. Or better sealed than petrified, rather.
気をつけて。
Nasty tricks they got up their sleeves. Big dinosaur sleeves. What's this one? Earth. Damn, Sid, you did good on a person. Sticking with you, though, that's good. Two attacks shown me, the only thing that's going to do now is physical damage. Tripping the last one to sleep and checking for treasure. Okay, I definitely want to check the treasure now. I want to know what the hell that is. Slot seed. Oh, we're checking for treasure. Oh, that's the thing we already know. Still cool. Still happy about that. Now I have to make sure somebody knows sleep. Oh, I missed it completely. Okay, level 2 black magic. We can stick that on somebody with, she is a brand new slot. That doesn't seem really useful. People will sleep now. Let's kill one and then sleep the other one. Not sleep with, sleep in. Although, you know, if he wants to. Pretty cute. Not rude, you know. What are you? You're wind. Okay. So this is just completely random. did I get this helmet? Was I supposed to use one? Or... I did say it was wing-based, didn't it? Yeah, how come that's not doing any extra to it? Very simple. Pick my puppy apart. It's going to ascend. It does seem extra bothered by that. He's getting real close. I ain't trying to lose this game on this series. You're about to go down and take a tap. Yeah, there we go. Hey! That was it. Oh, it's getting so close. Come on. Freaking close to touching. Let me out. So I guess we'll do some damage and then put him to sleep. Doing the bonus damage anymore. This is awful. Sleeping, can I escape? Not yet. But it's awake now, so there's no point. You gonna hang out there for a sec? You good? Fishing area. Oh well. I don't imagine I'll have more slots than this, so let's just kill it all. Get it done. Oh, things aren't good here. You probably have to mess with that general. Oh, he had the funny name. Like the interestingly funny name, like Kakanas, Cockface. Oh, that time is vastly inflated by me having to take calls and stuff in the middle of playing. Incidentally, I did find out I've got a run button, and I am very happy. I've been walking this entire game. I guess there's nothing for me to really find around here right now. I can talk to the people. And I might get a Kakanas, okay. Might get 1,000 Years of Dreams section. Yeah, me too, buddy. Don't imagine there's a good reason to go back in here. But I'm gonna do it. Or I'm going to try and fail to do it. Damn you, General Kakanas. Kakanas. Pretty sure I saved. This place used to have music. Oh, there was that guy who wanted crystals. I never got his crystals for him. I don't think I even got close to the amount he wanted either. Okay. Yeah, I've been finding more of those little treasure hunt things lately. I keep thinking they're going to be 1,000 Years of Dream segments. They never are. Which is equal parts, like, disappointing and relieving. I mean, it's really my bad I decided to start reading them all out loud, but, they're really cool. Still can't get through here. Even though I should clearly be able to. There's not that much blocking me. Oh, I guess I can't get back in. Probably wants me to visit the old, the area where Liron was. Where we met Cook and Mac. Ooh, treasure hunt's gonna pay off already, I see it. And maybe there's something neat where that Arthosaurus was. Oh, I think I had to be the kids to get in there. So this probably isn't what I want. No, nothing cool where the Arthosaurus was. Treasure, though. Good to have more magic. I certainly won't be complaining about that. Oh, yeah, we never took her back here. I don't think I have seeds. Mm-mm. How embarrassing. Really nothing here either, though. Alright. Maybe that bridge is down now? Yeah, my bad for not streaming this also. I just, I'm not up to it. I don't plan to stream very long. I play this a whole lot longer tonight. But I did want to make some progress happen so I could do a little more treasure hunting. Because I remember there was a, one of those Tolton chests in the woods. But I couldn't get back there until I somehow got back to Numara. Oh, I found a, what I'm assuming is a chest I get to use after I've got all those other chests. And I think the game said there were 13. How the hell am I supposed to get back in? Maybe if I leave, I can just waltz back in through the regular map. Yes, yes, I can. Crimson Forest, though. Got that again. Or at least I think I can. Maybe it'll just take me back to that area where I couldn't progress. Why would they wall that off? That's just annoying and frustrating. Looks like we're going right to the... yeah, the front. Is that the cubic score guy? That minigame was so shit. A lot of people here. Oh, here we go. 1,000 Years of Dreams. Oh, water's empty, isn't it? Yep, just a heavy bottle. The dream has been revealed. I can't keep up that voice. Oh, I got my copy of Trails of Cold Steel 4 in front of me. Dying to play it. Return of the Native. The mother stands by the island pier, waiting for her son. Her luggage is bigger than she is. Dressed in her finest traveling clothes, she seems hardly able to contain her excitement as she speaks to Kaim, who happens to be waiting for the same boat to arrive. I got a letter from him, she says. Almost 30 years had passed since her only son left the island of his birth. There was no word from him at all in that time until he recently wrote announcing his success and his plan to bring her to the mainland. I had been alone ever since I lost my husband, so just to think I might be able to spend the rest of my life with my son, his wife, and my grandchildren. Jeez, the second I get on the mic, I get gassy. She sold the house she had always lived in and has been waiting for her son to come for her. The letter arrived over a week ago. I wonder why it's taking him so long. The seas are calm. Kime arrived here on yesterday's ferry. You mean he's late? Kime asked with some surprise. Very, she replies, forcing a smile. I wonder what's wrong. Maybe he got busy all of a sudden and can't pull himself away from his work. Ay, ay, ay. I'm realizing it sounds a lot like Alpha 9, my old lady voice. He hasn't written again to explain. He's never bothered with things like that. Not since he was a child, she says, straining to smile and glancing toward the horizon. No bigger than a dot at first. The boat is now big enough for a clear view of the mast and silhouette. Anyhow, I'm not worried. I know he'll be on this boat, she says, raising herself from the dockside crate on which she is sitting and waving a handkerchief towards the approaching vessel. Kime also stares hard at the boat, which gives his eyes a stern expression. Young man? At the sound of the mother's voice, Kime hastens to soften his gaze before turning toward her. You are a traveler, are you not? That's right, he says. I saw you arrive on yesterday's ferry. Are you leaving so soon? She is obviously curious about the stranger, but her face shows no wariness towards outsiders. Relieved to see this, Kime replies, I'm doing the same thing you are, waiting for someone to arrive. On this boat? Yes, probably. You haven't been in touch with the person? No, we haven't agreed on a time. I might be waiting for nothing, too. Oh, really? Kime evades further questioning with a strained smile. This is not something he can discuss with just anyone. He is on a secret mission, one that must not fail. Secret Agent Kime? The woman still wears a look of puzzlement, but their conversation is swallowed up in the general hubbub on shore, accompanying the approach of the boat. At last, the ferry arrives. One by one, the passengers alight after their half-day trip from the capital on the mainland. Clutching the handkerchief to her breast, the mother scans each of them. There are peddlers who travel from island to island hawking their wares, and men who have come to do larger-scale trading. Sunburned young men and women who arrive from the mainland in groups to work on the island's farms, and men coming home to the island after a season of labor on the mainland. None of the dozens of passengers, however, is the woman's son. Once it has disgorged its island-bound passengers, the ferry takes on people crossing to the mainland. Greeters on the pier give way to well-wishers. The mother turns her back on the pier's hustle and bustle and plods her way towards the town. She hoists a heavy pack on her back and lifts a large suitcase in each hand, but she's only taken a few steps when the pack begins to slide off. Kime reaches out to keep it from falling. The woman turns with a look of surprise, and when she realizes Kime is alone, she asks, So your person didn't come either? Looks that way. With only one ferry a day from the mainland, all they can do is wait until tomorrow. Are you going to stay on the island until your friend comes? I might have to. You could run up quite a hotel bill that way. I'm alright. I'm used to camping out. Camping out? She exclaims with a look of amazement. Then she smiles and says, Oh well, you're young and in good condition. A few days sleeping outdoors shouldn't be too hard on you. What are you gonna do, ma'am? Go back home? I wish I could. I sold my house last week. I was so sure my son would come get me right away. A hint of discouragement clouds her face, but she quickly recovers her smile and continues. The money I got for the house is in a nice little bundle, so I've decided to spend freely for a change. See that large hotel over there? I'm staying in their biggest room and taking it easy all day and all night too. I'm disappointed when he doesn't show up, of course, but I've worked my fingers to the bone all these years. It won't hurt for me to indulge myself just this little bit. Though delivered with a smile, her words touch Kime deeply. In her case, worked my fingers to the bone is not just a figure of speech, as evidenced by her suntanned face, which is so unsuited to the cosmetics she has applied to greet her son, and especially by her bony fingers, so ill concealed by the cheap ring she is wearing. Hard as she undoubtedly worked, life has granted her few rewards. There is nothing expensive about her luggage. I'm sure your son will be here tomorrow, Kime says. Her deeply wrinkled face breaks into a joyous smile. Yes, of course. Tomorrow for sure, she says with a deep nod. I hope the person you are waiting for comes on tomorrow's boat too. Thank you very much, he replies. I have an idea, she says. You might get sick camping out. If you'd like, why not stay in my hotel? I'm sure we could arrange something for one extra person. Kind senses that she is not suggesting this out of mere politeness, because old lady wants to fuck. Which is precisely why he demurs with a smile and a nod. Thanks just the same, he says, but don't worry about me. Just take the rest you deserve after all your long years of hard work. If you say so. She seems somewhat disappointed, but does not press him to accept. As he watches her trudge off towards her hotel alone, all but hidden from view by her huge bundles, Kym wonders if, perhaps, she was hoping that his company might ease her concern that her son might not show up after all. Even so, he decides not to chase after her and retract his refusal. He is the wrong man to spend time with a mother whose only dream is to have a happy old age. Most likely, when tomorrow's boat arrives, she will finally be reunited with the son she has longed to see all these years. The person that Kyn is waiting for will also almost certainly cross over the island tomorrow. The mother will undoubtedly shed great tears when her reunion takes place. Jeez. Kym, on the other hand, has a bloody job to perform when he encounters the man he's waiting for. Oh, Kym has to kill her son. Kym has been hunting him. The man is a fugitive, and there is a reward on his head. Oh, Kym's gonna let him go, maybe. He is known as the boss of an underworld gang in the capital, and he has committed crimes without number. Robbery, fraud, extortion, assault, and even murder. To cap his life of crime, he double-crossed his own gang and ran off with a great deal of money. Word reached the gang only a week ago that the man is headed for this island, the place of his birth, and they hired Kym to take care of him. The fact that they hired Kym means they are ready to have him killed on sight. I don't know that Kym makes a great hitman. Kym and the mother meet at the dock again the next day at the same time, and again the next day, and the next, and the day after that. The ones they are waiting for never come. A week goes by. The mother switches accommodations from her expensive hotel to a cheap inn frequented by traveling peddlers. Actually, I'm more comfortable in a cheap place like this, she tells Kym with a laugh, but more than likely her money would have run out in the first hotel. Your person is very late too, she observes. True. Who is it? He sidesteps the issue with a strained smile. He cannot answer her question if he is going to carry out his duty, and besides, he feels a tiny premonition deep inside. The mother stops questioning him and says, I hope your person comes soon. Another 3 days go by. A messenger from the gang, disguised as a peddler, whispers to Kym as he steps off the ferry. I think he's still hiding in the capital. We're looking in every rat hole we can find, but there's no sign of him. Kym nods silently and glances at the boat. Even after the last passenger alights, the mother stands on the pier, looking into the boat's empty deck. Let me ask you, young man, the mother says to Kym 3 days later. Does the place where you're camping out have a roof to keep the dew off? Kym has been sleeping in a dilapidated old house he found near the harbor. All I need is a place to sleep, she says. Would you mind if I joined you there? What's that? The place I'm staying now is not much better than a ruin. I'm sure I'd find wherever you're staying. I'm sure I'd be fine wherever you're staying. Yes, I'm sure I'd be fine. She smiles like a child who has found a new source of mischief. Kym does not refuse her. More precisely, he cannot refuse her. She's probably run out of money, even to stay in her current flop house. Kym has noticed her cheap rings gradually disappearing from her bony fingers. As they pass the night in the abandoned building, the moon their only source of light, the mother, without prompting from Kym, spills out her memories of her son. They are by no means pleasant memories. Known as a roughneck even from his earliest years, the boy was hated by all the neighbors and caused his parents a good deal of shame. He would steal our money, stay out all night partying, and before we knew it, he was the #1 thug on the island. He was always getting into fights and bothering girls during the island's annual festivals. He would go wild and destroy property, so my husband and I would have to go around apologizing to everyone. The father, a skilled stonemason, lost his job when the son stole valuables from the boss's house. The mother could hardly walk down the street without being subjected to the glares and finger-pointing of the neighbors. Things got especially bad after his son set fire to the island assembly hall, just for fun. His parents raised him badly. The boy's misbehavior is the parents' responsibility. The son has become such a thug because his mother spoiled him rotten. It's the parents' fault. The father's fault. The mother's fault. Your fault. They had heard it all. It was so hard for us on a little island like this. There was no place we could hide. The boy was 18 when he finally ran away from home, or rather, left the island when his parents all but disowned him. The other islanders rejoiced as if a plague had lifted. One man went so far as to deliberately let the parents overhear him declaring, "I hope the bastard goes to the capital and dies in the gutter." The boy's father died 5 years ago. To the very end, he would not forgive his son, and in his final delirium, he was still apologizing to the islanders. Man, this kid's a real shit. But still, to a mother, any son is the baby she once carried. I never heard a word from him, but I went on praying that he would stay healthy in the capital, that he wouldn't catch whatever epidemic was going around, that he wouldn't get into fights. But that's just me, I guess. She gives Kaim a bitter smile. Or maybe it's just me being a mother, she adds. You have parents too, I suppose. Of course you do. Everyone has parents. True. Are your father and mother alive and well? Kaim bows his head in silence. On a journey with no clear beginning and no definable end, Kaim is unable to answer a question like this. Oh. I guess I didn't really catch on that Kaim didn't remember his life from before moving to this world. Oh, they make that really explicit, don't they? Gungara mentions he's the only one that remembers. Instead, he asks the woman, "What is the first thing you'll say when you finally get to meet your son?" "Good question," says the mother. After thinking it over a few moments, she replies, "I won't actually say anything. I think I'll just hug him and say nothing at all. I'll hold him tight and let him know how glad I am that he's alive and well." Just supposing, though, Kaim presses her gently. If you knew that he had lived a less than exemplary life in the capital, too, would you still give him a hug? Her response is instantaneous. "First I'd hug him, and then I'd give him a good talking to." She smiles shyly at Kaim and adds, "That's what being a parent is all about." Is it? The next morning she runs a high fever. She may have survived the dew, but a night in the dilapidated building has taken a toll on the old woman's health. Even so, when it is time for the ferry to arrive, she struggles to her feet and heads towards the pier with uncertain steps. Alarmed, Kaim holds her back. "You're in no shape to be going out," he says. Despite his attempts to bring down her fever with cool spring water from the forest, it is as high as ever. Her labored breathing is taking on a congested rumbling. Oh, she won't die. "I have to go," she insists. "My son is coming for me. I'm going to see him." She sweeps away Kaim's restraining hand, but the effort causes her to lose her balance and sink to her knees. "If he's on board, I'll bring him here," Kaim assures her. "Tell me, how can I recognize him?" Cradled in Kaim's arms, half delirious with fever, the woman mutters, "On his left cheek, before he left the island, he got in a fight. Somebody cut him. He has a scar." Kime nods and lowers the old woman to a straw mat spread on the ground. He fights back a sigh and closes his eyes momentarily. Then he stares hard through a small window at the ferry dock. His suspicions were right after all, though he was sure of it last night. Kime was given a written description of the man when he took on the assignment from the gang. There could be no doubt. Scar on the left cheek. The ferry is approaching the harbor. The pier is showing signs of activity. Kime starts for the door. Behind him he hears the woman saying, "Please, don't kill him. Don't kill my boy." Kime stops short, but instead of turning around, he bites his lip. "I don't know what he did in the capital, but don't kill him, please." So she knows too. She knows everything. "If you have to kill him, if you absolutely have to, please, before you do it, let me just..." Kime leaves the ruin in silence. His steps are uncertain as he makes his way into the blinding glare of the afternoon sun. This time, the man is there. Trying to lose himself among the traveling peddlers, the man with the price on his head and the scar on his left cheek steps down to the pier. He is far more emaciated than Kime's written description would have led him to believe. No doubt he is exhausted from his years as a fugitive. Still, he has fulfilled his promise to his mother by coming back to the island of his birth. His eyes dart fearfully over the pier. His expression changes from that of a man searching for someone to the panicked look of a child who has become separated from his parent. Kime slowly plants himself in front of him. The man knows nothing of Kime's mission, of course, and has never met him before. But he has the instincts of an inhabitant of the back alley. His face freezes, and he turns to flee. Kime grabs him by the shoulder, but lightly, in a way that would make an onlooker think he was witnessing the joyful reunion of old friends. The man tries to shake off the hand, to no avail. It would be easy enough for Kime to kill him on the spot. His eyes show that he has no strength left to fight. Kime has far more experience than the man does at surviving potentially fatal encounters. The man knows this. "If you're gonna kill me, get it over with," he snarls. "But if you've got a trace of kindness in you, you'll give me one last chance to do something good for my mother. It won't take long. Just let me see her once. Then you can do whatever you like with me." Kime lets his hand drop from the man's shoulder. He is not going to run away. "So I didn't make it after all," he says with a forced smile. His face tells Kime that he has probably resigned himself to his fate. It suggests, too, an air of relief at having finally brought his life as a fugitive to an end. "How many men have you killed?" he asks Kime. "How many men have you killed?" he asks Kime. "I don't have to answer that. And I really don't want you to tell me. It's just that, well, looking at you, I'd say I'm older than you are. And there are some things a person comes to realize when he's lived a long time. Think about the guys you've killed. Every single one of them had parents. Killing a person means killing somebody's child, right? When that finally dawned on me, I left the gang. Gangs don't pay retirement bonuses. God, why did I lose on bonuses? Gangs don't pay retirement bonuses, so I sort of borrowed a little money from them and thought I'd use it to, well, I've given my mother a hard time all these years." His voice grows thick and muffled. He shakes off the emotion and proclaims with a laugh, "Ah, what the hell. That's a lot of sentimental nonsense. I don't know how many guys I've killed over the years, so I figured I'm getting what I deserve. I can't hate you for what you're doing." A shout comes from the ferry deck. We'll be departing soon. All passengers bound for the capital should be boarding now. Kime looks hard at the man and says, "Just tell me one thing." The man says nothing in reply, but Kime continues, "What's the first thing you're gonna do when you see your mother?" "Huh? What are you talking about?" "Never mind. Just answer the question." "I'll say I'm back." "No, I won't say nothing. I'll just take her in my arms. That's all. Give her a big hug? Sure. That's what parents and children are all about. Kyle relaxes the grim expression on his face and jerks his chin towards the forest beyond the pier. There's an old broken down house in the woods. Your mother's waiting for you there. Go to her. What are you talking about? Don't ever come back to the capital, and don't stay on this island. Take another ferry and go away somewhere to another island with your mother. The man looks stunned. I mean, his voice is trembling. Kyle says nothing more. He leaves the man behind and strides towards the boat before it can depart. Mission accomplished. Kyle does not care if, in return for this deed, he is labeled a traitor to be pursued by the gang. The image of his own parents praying for their son's welfare has long since faded from his memory. Pulling out, please hurry, comes the cry of the ferry's crew. Not gonna say it. A big gong is ringing, startled by the sounds reverberating between the vast stretch of ocean and the open sky. Brightly colored birds dart up from the forest. Large birds and small birds, parents and their young. The larger birds seem almost to be shielding the smaller ones beneath their slowly beating, outstretched wings. End. Not much of an ending there. Like a good enough story, but not interesting. This ended up being a lot longer than I intended. This could have been a stream. Oh, I'm one short. Well, now I gotta go back there. I wasn't opening drawers at the time. Anything new from you? Uh-oh. Is that going to unlock a memory? No, Kyle, I was joking. I'm gonna go get water, my throat's scratchy. And we're back. A dinosaur story. Ooh. Portraitist of the dead. She always has mourning clothes with her. That way, she can begin a portrait as soon as a request comes in. And so it is today. Having slipped into her mourning dress in the shed on the pier, she boards the downstream ferry. Her hands are full. One holds the case with her painting tools, and the other the garment bag for her mourning dress. She has heard that a rich man lies dying in a town 20 kilometers downstream. Hey, puppy. Her name is Rosa. It's a race against time, she says with a grim smile. I have to start it as soon as possible, before the face changes. Changes how? Kime asks. It's hard to say. There is a deepening strain to Rosa's smile, but I know it when I see it, when the person has gone from this side to the other side. Once they've gone over, I can't paint them, at least not in the way that will please the family. It just can't be done. Rosa is a professional portraitist of the dead. The custom of preserving death masks is now widely practiced in this area. Families too poor to hire an artist daub the face of the newly deceased with dye and preserve the loved one's deathbed expression on a cloth preserved against the dyed face. Some families make a death mask with plaster. Only the wealthiest families can afford to hire a professional like Rosa. So that lurking in the background of an individual's death, there can be a variety of disputes. That's an odd sentence. I can't really make heads or tails of it. Maybe it'll make more sense in a few minutes. I've heard families quarreling over the inheritance behind my back even as I sit there sketching the dead person. One widow presented my portrait of her husband to the court to prove that he had been poisoned. Another time, some loan sharks waited until the moment the man died and charged right into the house. One husband tried to spit in his wife's face as soon as she gave up the ghost. Apparently, she had been unfaithful to him for years. Rosa tells her stories with utter detachment. She reveals no emotion at all. This, she says, is indispensable to becoming an outstanding portraitist of the dead. You have to open your sketchbook and get your brushes going with the bereaved family members right there, overcome with grief. There's no way you can produce a good portrait if you become emotional, or allow yourself to be swept up in the emotions of the other people in the house. Kime responds with a silent nod. His only connection with the woman is to have boarded the same boat and sat at the same table in the cafe on deck. Only a few minutes had passed since she started volunteering her stories. That is all it has taken for Kime to perceive the hint of nihilism lurking in her beautiful features. The more respectable artists despise painters like me. Well, why is that? Well, half of them accuse us of making our living from people's deaths. The other half look down on us for not being moved by what we do. I see their point. I mean, the emotions are what give rise to all the arts, whether it's painting, sculpture, music, or literature. We don't have emotions like that. We're nothing but craftsmen. Rosa speaks without a hint of either self-mockery or pride. Her tone suggests that she is merely stating the obvious in an obvious way. Kime takes a sip of his rye whiskey, and Rosa drinks from her rose-petal tea. What a cool cafe. The boat makes its leisurely way downstream. The season is spring. The river is high with snowmelt, and white water birds have settled on its surface. Strange, Rosa says with a giggle. When I first saw you, I thought you and I must be members of the same profession, which is why I took the initiative to speak to you. Kime gives her a strange smile. He knows nothing about painting, and he is fairly certain there is nothing about his appearance that would cause him to be mistaken for an artist. It well could be, however, that in the profile of this man drinking whiskey alone in the afternoon, Rosa has recognized the hue of a nihilism like her own. Or then again, she might have perceived the shadow of the other side clinging fast to Kime's back. Until a few days ago, Kime was on a battlefield. There he witnessed the killing of many enemies and many allies, but he was unmoved by any of it. Such youthfulness had long since vanished from him. Though outwardly unchanged, Kime has lived through several centuries. Really, you don't hammer that away enough. Rosa says that she is in her mid-30s, and in her 10th year since becoming a portraitist of the dead, which apparently puts her near the beginning of her career. Pardon. If you wouldn't mind, she adds, I have a few more things I'd like to discuss with you. When Kime nods silently in compliance, Rosa thanks him, gives him her first heartfelt smile of the day. Portraitists of the dead are never present when the subject is dying. The very fact that such a professional has been called means that the person's death is imminent, and so theirs is seen as a presence of ill omen and even defilement. A family member or friend who's been at the bedside dares to broach the subject quietly in another room. Don't you think it may be time to call a painter? The answer, whether too soon for that or I think he may be right, is delivered in guarded tones. Introduced to the family by the church, the portraitist never enters the house by the front door. Rather, he or she goes around to the back and is shown into a room where the sun cannot penetrate. There, the painter changes into mourning clothes and waits for the announcement of the death. Eventually, a quiet knock on the door is followed by a summons to appear, and the painter, dressed in mourning, sets to work. Not all deaths occur at the end of a long lifetime, of course. All too often the painter must depict the face of one who's died young of illness or accident. The face that emerges in the artist's sketchbook radiates the delicate vivacity of one who has just crossed the border dividing life from death, one who is only moments before transited from this world to the other world. I don't see transited often as a verb. Transitioned, transmitted, but not transited. The work presented to the family is an oil painting done from the sketch, but Rosa believes the sketch itself is a far more authentic portrait of the dead. There's nothing quite like the atmosphere in a room where someone has just died. How to put it? It's as though the flow of time has stopped, or time itself has melted into the very air. Yeah. The sobbing and the wailing sounds as if they might last forever, the only movement of time in all this being the way the face of the dead person emerges little by little onto the blank white page of the sketchbook. She hands him her thick sketch pad. "See," she says, showing him countless faces of the dead. "This is 2 years' worth." Many of the faces are peaceful, but others are full of agony, and all without exception possess a mysterious presence. They differ unmistakably from faces in sleep. Neither, however, do they look dead. They seem as if they might open their eyes at any moment, or just as easily crumble into ash. They hover, men and women alike, on the very brink of death. After the body is cooled, it's too late. It's also too late if the family has begun making its preparations for the funeral. The game is won or lost in those very few minutes following the death itself. All we can do is start sketching as efficiently and expeditiously as possible. Expediently is what I was going to say. With a painful smile, Rosa adds, "In the eyes of the family, though, that makes me a cold-hearted woman." Kime turns the pages of her sketchbook, saying nothing. He would like to tell her that is the same on the battlefield. There, no one has time to mourn the death of a soldier. If you're busy shedding tears instead of doing the next thing you have to do, you end up being one of those forced to travel to the other world. The final sketch in the book is unfinished. The face of a young girl. The general outlines of the hair and face are sketched in. Nothing more. Kime looks questioningly at Rosa. "My daughter," she says softly. "But why?" A portrait painter of the dead reaches full maturity in the profession when she is able to paint a member of her own family. Which only makes sense, I mean. How self-serving is it if you can only be coldly objective towards the death of a stranger, but not toward a member of your own family? Her daughter died 2 years ago. The girl's 3 short years of life brought to a sudden end by a bad flu that was making the rounds. "I was holding her hands almost until the moment she died," Rosa says. "I was in tears, calling her name and pleading with her to come back to me, not to die." After the doctor looked at her with a shake of his drooping head, though, Rosa released her daughter's hands and opened her sketchbook. Wiping her tears, she picked up her pencil and tried to sketch her daughter's face. But I couldn't do it. The tears came pouring out of me no matter how much I wiped them. I simply couldn't work. Kime turns his gaze on the unfinished sketch again. Some areas the white paper were wavy, perhaps where Rosa's tears had fallen. I guess I'm not qualified to be a portraitist of the dead, she says with a smile, glancing down at the river. But still, if I had to choose one work of art to leave behind, this would be it. The boat gives a blast on its steam horn. Frightened, the birds in the river leap into the air in a great mass. Kime closes the sketchbook and returns it to Rosa. He considers complimenting her on the excellence of the drawing, but chooses silence instead. Such praise, he feels, could be a sign of disrespect for her work, for Rosa herself, and for her dead daughter. I didn't mean to bend your ear like this, she says. I'm sorry. She stands and peers at Kime once again. Really, though, you look like a member of my profession. Kime gives her a strained smile and shakes his head. Sorry, I shouldn't have said that, she responds, with a strained smile of her own. And you probably won't like me saying this either, but please call me if you're ever in need of a portraitist of the dead. I won't need one, Kime says. I have no family. No family? Well, when your own time comes. With a little chuckle, Rosa leaves. Her right hand grasps the case with her painting supplies, her left the garment bag with mourning clothes. Unfortunately, Kime will never need her services. He will not, cannot, go to the other world just yet. On the long road of his life, how many deaths must he encounter? The steam horn blasts again. The boat gradually lowers its speed and edges towards the riverbank. The landing draws near. When he leaves the boat, his journey will begin again. It will be a long journey. The next battlefield lies far beyond the mountains that tower in the distance. End. Another one that I didn't get much out of. I kind of hate when that happens. It feels like it's a my bad kind of thing. There's a little homeless encampment down here. And it's still got nothing in it. And it's still nothing. Oh, these kids are probably going to give me something. I played with them earlier. Oh, another. My mouth's getting so dry. My poor throat. Yeah, introduced and revealed. I hope this one's good. A lot of them have been. Lottery of life. Having kids is like playing the lottery. That was how the police commissioner put it with a grim smile and a sigh. He was the man in charge of domestic security. Sometimes you pick a winner, and sometimes you pick a loser. Life is like that. You can't control it. Kime responded with a silent nod. Not that he was convinced that you could divide people into winners and losers, but that was how they did everything here in this country. That was the size of the city. Or no, that's just how they did it here in this country that was the size of a city. He had no choice but to recognize it as reality, because the man who kept the peace here believed it, and this nation was known for having the best public safety of all the countries in the region. Every kid in this area is a loser, he spat out, jerking his chin toward the juvenile prison visible from his office window. Built to hold young criminals, this was the largest, and the most strictly run and most closely guarded, prison to be seen in any of the neighboring countries. Its treatment of its young inmates was also the harshest. You're a foreigner, Kime, so you may not approve, but we have our own way of doing things. I guess he's southern now. I see, said Kime. Or Kime said. Losers are losers. There's nothing you can do to make losers into winners. It's never gonna happen. Far from it. If you coddle losers, they just turn into bigger losers. And you give the decent people a lot of trouble. See what I mean? That's one way of looking at things. Kime's deliberate irony was lost on the police commissioner. It's just getting worse with time. Nope, it's the only way. If you're gonna have a safe, peaceful country, he declared, and we'll expect you to abide by this view too. Kime had nothing more to say to him. If he were to insist on confronting the police commissioner, he might be seen as questioning the authorities, which could land him in the adults' prison. This would be easy enough to bring about for the police commissioner, and indeed for anyone in the city-state who stood on the side of the powers that be. The commissioner glanced again towards the juvenile prison. They built that place 80 years ago, he said, which is to say the very first building they made when the present political system came into being was a prison to throw young offenders into. Kime knew this. For Kime, whose life went on forever, events of 80 years ago could well have happened yesterday. 80 years earlier, this country had experienced a coup d'etat. The revolutionary government ruled the people under a military dictatorship and jailed every last person suspected of disturbing the peace and order. The government was especially wary of younger criminals. There's a limit to how serious a kid's crimes can be, but let them get away with those, and the next thing you know, they're doing really bad stuff. They might be satisfied with shoplifting at first, but soon they're into burglary, muggins. They start using weapons. And in the end, they think nothing of killing people. You gotta nip them in the bud. The kids sent to prison were fed the absolute minimum to keep them alive. No doctor saw them if they fell sick or were injured. Subjected to such harsh imprisonment, they succumbed one after another, and more than a few of them ended up as cold corpses pitched out the back door. Some Joe Arpaio shit. I hate this. Whenever one did manage to serve out his term and return to the outside world, he found it impossible to erase the brand of loser. Children with criminal records were soundly rejected by respectable society. The social system was structured in such a way that nothing worked for them. Employment, marriage, even finding a place to live. Expelled by society, these boys and girls returned to crime as a way to stay alive, eventually ending up in adult prison. Again, this is some good social commentary. I mean, it's not quite getting to the prison to school pipeline, but it's got the spirit of it. Or school to prison pipeline. With a bitter smile, the police commissioner said to Kime, "I'm sure this all sounds terrible to an outsider like you." Kime answered with a slight nod. This only served to increase the bitterness of the commissioner's smile. "I know what you're thinking," he said, "and to tell you the truth, I sometimes think the system is a little too harsh on them, too." But you have to realize that we're not just punishing bad kids, we're also holding them up as an example to the good ones. Up as an example of. Sorry, my words are slurring together now. It is 2 a.m. What would they think if they saw the ex-criminals out on the street again, walking along like nothing ever happened? They just figured that even if they got their hands dirty and spent a few years in jail, they could just go back to their old lives. That society's punishment is no big deal, that they can get away with murder. We wouldn't want our kids to be like that, would we? So the only thing is for us grown-ups to teach them. Look at those guys, we can say. All it takes is one bad deed and your life is over. So you better listen to your parents and teachers and be good. He definitely had a point. Kime was willing to grant him that. But still, the commissioner must have noticed a hint of a shadow crossing Kime's face, and he shifted his tone of voice. With bureaucratic conviction, he declared, "The authorities have received word that there is going to be a coup. Of course, the military have everything under control, so there is nothing to worry about. They could suppress it right now if they wanted to. They could easily attack the agitators and capture the ringleaders of the plot. In this case, though, they decided to let it get started in order to smoke out every last one of those reactionary elements. Reactionary elements. According to the government's intelligence, the uprising was scheduled to occur that very night. We are prepared for just about any eventuality, but there is always the possibility of the unexpected. If there were a riot inside the juvenile prison timed to coincide with the rebellion, that could be a real problem. This is why Kime has been hired as a temporary prison guard, a bodyguard for the state. Ooh, Kime. You gotta do the right thing, Kime. We're counting on your skills as a seasoned warrior, which is why we're entrusting you with such a major responsibility. Be sure you live up to our expectations. If you have to resort to violence, we have no problem with that. Whatever you do, it will be for the sake of law and order. It will be in order to protect the happy lives of the decent citizens of our nation. Carry out your duties with complete dedication of body and soul." The commissioner handed Kime a one-page document. It was literally a license to kill. Act without the slightest restraint. All the prison guards have one of these. But still, if you hesitate to impose the ultimate punishment on a single loser, then countless winners among the upstanding citizenry must suffer the consequences. You understand, I'm sure. Once a loser, always a loser. Rather than living with such a burden, they themselves might be happier to have you kill them and get it over with. I don't think they would prefer that. That's fucked. Kime accepted the document from the commissioner without comment. That completes our contractual arrangement. Now, assume your post. With a perfectly straight face, the commissioner cautioned Kime. Just make sure you don't let any foolish compassion get in your way. The season was midwinter, but Kime found no hint of fire burning in the juvenile prison. In their tiny, solitary cells, the young inmates, wrapped in ragged blankets, lay helplessly in the dark. Painful moaning came from one cell, suggesting its inmate might be running a fever. From another came an unbroken, shrill, mean laughter that could only be the They missed a word. That could only mean the person's mind had snapped. Alright, so it's not just me when things are weird. But with all this text, I don't blame anyone. Translation is hard. Editing is rough too. What you see is what you get, said the veteran guard guiding Kime on his first round of inspection. Not one of these faces shows any life, so even if something were to happen, these pitiful creatures couldn't do a damn thing. They're losers, all right. They're breathing, but that's about it. Is there really no possibility of them being rehabilitated and becoming winners? The other guard gave Kime a momentary blank stare and then said with a laugh and a wave, No, 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 no. None at all. 80 years since the revolution, and the change of generations had replaced virtually all the people from that time. Since coming of age, this prison guard, who had no memory of life before the revolution, had been implanted with the idea that people were either winners or losers, and he surely never doubted it. Social commentary. They went out of their way to hire you, so it might be a little strange for me to say this, but I'm sure the kids in here are never gonna riot. No matter how wild things get on the outside, splash a little cold water on them, and they'll quiet right down. There's almost none of them you gotta worry about. Almost. Well, I can't claim that about every single one of them. There are even losers among the losers, unfortunately. The guard showed Kime to the end of the hall, and there he opened the lock on a door so thick it could be mistaken for a section of wall. Beyond here are the punishment cells. This is where we throw the incorrigible losers, the ones who have caused trouble on work details, the ones who take a defiant attitude, the ones who show no sign of remorse for their crimes. Suddenly it was clear to Kime. It was clear to him because he had experienced countless battlefields in his life. The punishment cells were darker and far colder than the regular cells. But from the depths of the darkness, from within each individual cell, there emanated a quiet heat that could not be felt from the regular cells. The people in here were alive. They were not simply breathing. They were alive with real passion. 'Cause I am barely breathing. The crimes that originally got them locked up here were nothing much. A little burglary, some purse snatching, flashing a knife, stuff like that. If they had just quietly served out their terms, they'd be out now, living obscure lives somewhere. Instead, they resisted, and keep resisting. They called for better treatment of inmates. They appealed for an end to discrimination against former prisoners. The number of their crimes multiplied, until it became clear that they would never get out of there alive. They'll just go straight from here to the adult prison when they grow up. It'll be 20 or 30 years before they can breathe the outside air again, if they can live that long, which would be quite an accomplishment. No offense to any Southern viewers watching this, but I'm just thinking Joe Arpaio. The guy, he's got a reputation. All the fucking Maricopa County has a reputation. So it's not so much a South thing as it is a specifically Maricopa, Arizona thing. And all the people who are cool with him, that's upsetting. America's so fucked. The guard concluded with a belly-shaking laugh, which was interrupted by a voice echoing from a dark cell. Stop that laughing. It was a quiet but commanding voice, the one that retained a hint of boyishness. A look of fear crossed the guard's face, though it quickly reverted to a sneer. This is the biggest pain we got, he said. His name is Duran. They say he was the leader of a gang of juvenile delinquents on the outside, but here, he's just a noisemaker. The guard picked up a bucket of water from the corridor floor with a thin sheet of ice on its surface and heaved the contents into Duran's cell. This is what works best on these kids. Behind the bars, the drenched boy had rolled himself up into a ball. This should be enough for them to freeze to death, but the water itself freezes again in the early morning, so then their hair and eyelashes and any other hair they got gets coated in ice. Some of them have lost their fingers and toes to frostbite. The guard laughed again. Duran lay there, curled up, but his eyes were shining with such intensity. It was as if he were trying to melt the ice with the seething heat in his breast. And I'm not making those STs. Kime knew those eyes. They were the eyes of a warrior, and not just any warrior, but one of the very front line in a losing battle, who watches for a chance to turn the battle in his favor. And Kime knew something else, that the system was beginning to unravel. It had kept the people in a state of suppression for 80 long years, ever since the revolution, but that very moment of their undoing had arrived. The prison fire started that night. "Come, it's the coup!" The guard came running to report the situation on the outside. Fires had been set throughout the city, he said. That was, of course, the uprising the government intelligence had anticipated. Martial law was declared, and the government was mobilizing the entire police force and army. Word had come, too, that the ringleaders were already under arrest. One element, however, had been wholly unanticipated. The guard informed him, "The wind is strong tonight." Fanned by unseasonable winds, the flames were racing through just through the city. On orders from the commissioner, we are not to fight the fires in the juvenile prison. Is that clear? Do not engage in firefighting here. In other words, no one will be coming to save the inmates. It can't be helped, said the guard. The army and the fire department have all they can do. That's phrased weirdly. The army and the fire department have all they can do to put out fires in the city and evacuate the people. They can't spare any men to protect this place, and we've been ordered to join in the rescue effort in town. I guess that means we let the... Oh, that's kind. I guess that means we let the kids out? This was a given, kind assumed. Left locked up in their cells, the young inmates would be burned to death. No, that's the plan, Kime. Don't be ridiculous, the guard shot back. These kids are all losers. We've gone to the trouble of locking them in here, and now we're supposed to let them out? Are you serious? Kime replied. Are you serious? I can't believe you'd say anything so stupid. I'm telling you, they're losers. We don't have time to save them, and we're certainly not going to let them run loose. The commissioner would never allow such a thing. He obviously meant every word he was saying. They were planning to let them die. The flames were spreading quickly, and screams could be heard throughout the prison. There was no time to appeal directly to the commissioner, and such an appeal would only end in failure, he was sure. Give me the cell keys, Kime said. You're joking, the guard laughed. There was only one thing to do. Without a word, Kime landed to punch the guard's solar plexus. Fuck yeah, Kime. The guard went down in a heap, and Kime tore the clump of keys from his belt. The first cell he opened was Duran's. The boy came out looking confused. Are you one of us? He asked Kime. Are you with the coup? Not interested, he answered. So why are you letting us go? Duran asked. Because I don't like dividing up people into winners and losers. Thanks, Duran said. Sporting a big grin, he took the keys from Kime and turned away to start opening the other cells. I want you to come back, Kime said to him from behind. What's that? This is an emergency evacuation. When the sun comes up and the fires are out, I want you to come back here. You kids still haven't finished paying for your crimes. You must be kidding. Not at all, Kime said. If you kids run away, that'll just prove they're right. Once a loser, always a loser. Is that alright with you? Don't you want to show the ones who rule this country that they're wrong, that people can change? But we'll never get another chance like this. This coup is going to fail. You can run around all you want, but they're going to catch you in the end. You'll always be branded losers. They might even kill you when they catch you. Or, Kime, buddy, I get that you have a point you want to make, but fuck off. Duran turned to stare at Kime. The prison was already surrounded by flames. Against this bright red backdrop, Duran's eyes still burned with the fighting spirit of a warrior. This country's political system can't last much longer. The day will come when you kids can leave prison with your heads held high. I absolutely believe that. Because I believe it, I don't want to see you die for nothing. Kime turned from Duran to pull the guard up from the floor. Come back after sunrise. With his final admonition to Duran, he hoisted the guard on his back and trudged away. Come back after sunrise. These events occurred 50 years ago. You could just say 50 years later. An air of freedom pervades the country now when Kime visits 50 years later. True, he does catch glimpses of young toughs and juvenile delinquents where the nightlife thrives, but he feels this is just a sign of the free and easy times. An old man calls out to him, "Are you a traveler?" When Kime nods, the man says with a smile, "You're in luck. We're having a celebration in Revolution Square today. I hear the grand old man of the Revolution is going to attend. It'll keep going all night long." Is it Duran? A celebration? That's right. I see you're too young to know what happened here in the old days. We had a coup 50 years ago on this very day. The coup itself was put down in one night, but the rebel troops set fire all throughout the city, so the rest of us were running around like crazy in all directions. Fanned by the wind, the flames quickly enveloped the whole city, and a lot of the city people were stranded in a soundbar downwind. I was one of them. I had my wife and baby daughter with me, so I couldn't just dive into the... No, pregnant wife. Jeez, I am in no shape to keep doing this. I was one of them. I had my pregnant wife and baby daughter with me, so I couldn't just dive into the river to escape. Before we knew it, sparks were raining down in the sandbar. I figured we were done for. We'd all burned to death as soon as the dry grass caught fire. Just as he was giving up hope, he says, a helping hand was extended to him from the most unlikely source. The kids from the juvenile prison came to help us. They were all skin and bones, and their prison uniforms were falling apart. The prison staff hardly fed them a thing, but they pooled what little strength they had. They saved old folks and children from the sandbar, and they struggled to douse the fires that caught in the dry grass. I saw one boy carry a child across the river and collapse and die the second after he reached the other shore, and some of the other ones who were fighting grass fires were overcome by the smoke and burned to death. They risked their lives to save us. Their own lives were not worth living, but those losers risked their lives to save the lives of winners like us. When the sun came up and they could be sure that the fires were safely out, the young inmates went back to the juvenile prison. Yes, it's true. The place was an absolute hell for them, but they went back inside just the same. Not one of them took advantage of the confusion to run away. They played it strictly by the rules, wouldn't you say? We were really moved by their behavior, and people started saying that maybe these losers had their good points after all. Maybe once a loser, always a loser was wrong. This is some centrist bullshit. That is not how things work. Maybe in an environment where it's small enough and cozy enough that people actually know each other well enough that they can make changes by these small gestures, but it's not how it works in our world. The whisper spread throughout the country, quietly but surely. Soon the view emerged that the treatment of juvenile prison inmates should be improved. Another increasingly widely held view was that the society ought to welcome ex-inmates more warmly once they had paid for their crimes. Finally, the change in attitude towards loser children took the shape of dissatisfaction with the political system that had continued to foster such a dictatorship, and 40 years ago, a second coup occurred. This got bullshit real fast. This next coup took the shape of a citizen revolution that involved the masses and for that reason it succeeded. That's how the form of government we have today got its start. Listen to the old man's reminiscences. What, reminiscences? I've never seen that as a noun, reminiscences. Time finds himself smiling and nodding again and again, deeply moved. The last thing the old man tells him is the name of the hero who led the revolution and became the first president of the new government, Duran. Tens of thousands of people are gathered in Revolution Square as fireworks are sent aloft and a brass band plays the rousing national anthem. The grand old man of the revolution takes to the stage amid thunderous cheers and applause. Duran, Duran, our Duran. Advanced in years now, and having long since removed himself from the center of politics, Duran still has that youthful, fiery gleam in his eyes. There was no way for him to spot Kine among the assembled throng, and even if he were to notice him, he could never imagine that this young man, unchanged from 50 years ago, was the temporary prison guard on that fateful night. Still, the old hero proclaims, people can change. There are no winners or losers. His words are greeted with cheers and fireworks, and the excitement of the celebration reaches its peak. Kine makes his way to a stand at the far end of the square and buys himself a cup of liquor. He raises his cup to the hero of the revolution, who, from this distant vantage point, appears to him no larger than a speck. He downs the drink in a single breath. When the intensely strong liquor is past his throat, it leaves a sweet and mellow aftertaste. And I thought that was going somewhere, and it did, but not anywhere worthwhile. It's just disappointing. Play by the rules and do things the right way, and change will happen. You betcha. I don't think I've been there yet. Alright, let's go stop Kakanas. I really could have streamed this. It would have been fine. Damn it. But think of it, wasn't there a place with an auction house? I should see if there's anything good there now. Yeah, that was very much a thing in Final Fantasy IX. I don't remember 8 so well. I didn't actually finish 8. I should finish 8. I've already talked to everyone out here. Let's see if there's anything up on that roof. Like maybe a fiddler. Alright, so I'm not that much into musicals. I got a couple I like. Fiddler Roof is one of them. Fiddler on the Roof is one of them. I don't know why that hit me the way it did, but it was good. Probably because it's actually just a really good and interesting story of a particular village in a particular period of time. That and fucking tradition is a banger. Let's see. You got that, you got Rocky Horror Show. I'm a little partial to Avenue Q. That might be it. It's not a genre I've gone out of my way to really experience much of. I've seen West Side Story, but it didn't really click with me too much. Ooh, we got to level 3. Way item robber, toxin of instant kill. Well, okay. Not gonna bother making any of these. We got a couple places left to explore, and then it's Kakanas time. And I'm not gonna stop saying it that way. I'm sorry. Okay. I thought I had a bunch of tablets. Something to look into. Just in case I... Oh, okay, that guy who crosses and gets you the chest. That's what I was looking at on the little map there. You're speaking my language, little lady. Gotta talk to this guy. What happened to all the cool battle machinery that we saw in the opening cutscene? I thought there'd be more like grand battle kind of stuff. I mean, it was super depressing the way that all went down, but it was neat. It's a hell of a way to open up a thing. God, it was another 1,000 years of dreams. I know I'm gonna hit on one at some point here, and I'm not looking forward to it. Oh no. Oh. So something that came up in a thing I did off screen, I went to the Numara atoll, and Ming he kept bringing up that there was a holy beast there that she could summon with a harp. I'm assuming that's going to be like an extra boss battle. There's nothing to really look at there, so unless the battle looks cool, just assume it happened. Oh, a lot of Capes of Illusion. Okay, but old lady, you got something to say? Oh, I've absolutely been through all these already. But I'll still check for people. NPCs, you never know what wacky shit they're gonna say. Or when they're gonna show us treasure. Delicious treasures. Maybe slot seeds. I need slot seeds. Like, honestly, if I get 2 more, I'll be happy. Just to even everybody out. 12 with the +3 skill, so I guess just 9? 9 seems adequate. Oh, there's that treasure already gonna pay off. Refresh us. Okay, I gotta take a leak. This is gonna end up being a long episode. Back in a sec. And we're back. Alright. Kakanas time. Ooh, well, a little more talking time. You know me, always getting excited for Kakanas. This run button. Here we go. Oh, they are gonna rebel against their queen. Wait, is Set level 52? No, just short, okay. Because I think that's when they're supposed to get their last skill. Okay. Now, I assume it's time for Kakanas? Ooh, that frame rate.
おツルツル岩石じゃん。
焦るな。様子を見よう。
お帰りなさいませ、女王陛下。皆もよくぞ陛下を無事に連れてきてくれた。礼を言うぞ。
どう思ってんだ？
どうも信用できないね。
はは。
将軍、心配をかけました。顔を上げてください。
陛下の留守中、ヌマラは陛下の無事を祈って国民一同祈りを捧げる毎日でありました。本当に嬉しゅうございます。
So what's up with the big glowing mark that nobody else has?
長旅でお疲れでございましょう。どうぞ宮殿で存分にお休みください。
Guess we don't have time for a more subtle betrayal?
この上ないわ。ようやくこの俺が沼の牛耳り、あの神器臭い平和主義を打ち破ろうとしていたのに、この国は俺のものだ。お前らに渡さん。この集中攻撃をもってすれば不死の女王といえどたまらんだろうよ。見たか、沼らは俺のものだ。
I wish they'd spend a little more time
国
building
家と
this
市
guy
民
up.
は誰のものでもありません。
陛下。
将軍、なんと愚かしいことを。己の欲に勝てぬ者が人の上になど立てるはずもないのに。哀れですね。
貴様たち、まとめて始末してやる。
逃さない。
Man, we haven't seen the story of this game in a minute. How does this lead into us fighting Numara? Wait, is that... No, that's the front. Okay. And just charisma. Everything at once. Resistance. 4, damage not found. Because we have the fire absorbing thing. Not absorbing. That takes so much damage did that? Wait, that took all of Sed's MP. Don't want to take more MP. So, these things first. Well, let's see if Force does better damage. Such a hit to the GC. It sure has. Yeah, go ahead and keep firing that, man. Don't bother me about that. She's old, but she don't look it. That's been really useful. Because they haven't hit time yet. Maybe he just nullifies. Okay, we broke the cannon. And now this thing's almost gone. Just attack. That's it.
女王、そいつらの世界を見てきたんじゃないのか。平和主義だけでは世界にごつどころかぐっすらにも近いのだ。
ええ、世界を見て悟りました。時には力が必要だということを。ですが将軍、あなたの求める力は己のための力、それゆえに弱いのです。
負ける気がしないね。
Ooh, we got a new rifle for Seb. He's a weird character. He came in so late. He's got such great freaking skills.
女王
And you
陛
can't
下。
buy his weapons. They only come from, like,
まあや、
bonus crap.
ああ、ご無事
That
で。
is one wrinkly little lady.
カカナスの目論見に気づかぬ私がいけなかったのです。
あなたたちのせいではありません。すべて私の甘さから起こったことです。私がカカナスの言葉通りただの飾りになってしまい、付け入る隙を与えてしまったのですから、これは私の責任です。
自分を責めるな。
そうだぜ。あいつが勝手に盛り上がってただけじゃねえか。
でも彼もまたガンガラの計りごとの犠牲者だったとも言えますわ。
そりゃあ優しすぎだぜ。
陛下、この方たちは。
ああ、そうでした。彼女たちはずっと私の世話をしてくれていた女官たちです。彼女は女官長のマーヤと言います。
マーヤと申します。お初にお目にかかります。
マーヤ、この方たちは私の友。これから同じ目的のもと、ある大切な使命を果たさねばなりません。
使命では陛下、ヌマラは。陛下、
私はこの使命を果たすまでしばし国を留守にします。その間、あなた方にヌマラを任せます。
この私たちにでございますか。
私のしていたようにやればいいのです。最も近いところにいたあなた方ならできるものと信じていますよ。私は必ず戻ってきますから。
わかりました、陛下。陛下がお留守の間、ヌマラは私たちが守りますゆえ、ご安心くだされ。
Oh no. That's it. I'm ending it after this. I've hit my limit. The Queen's loneliness. Also, it's fucking 3 in the morning. 1,000 years can change everything, including the landscape. Queen Ming surveys her capital from the palace window. The panoramic view is like a great history book. The volcano towering in the distance, which used to spew clouds of smoke, went dormant 700 years ago. 300. Once part of the sea, the inlet was reclaimed 500 years ago to become a village for the fisherfolk who spend their lives on the ocean. Oh, this is gonna be a weird one. Maybe even a little short. The river once arched grandly across the landscape, but the deluge that occurred 300 years ago became the occasion for major flood control construction in the form of a perfectly straight channel. Where the river used to curve, there is now an oxbow lake in which reeds grow in profusion, and the banks provide the people with a rich natural bounty. Even the area that formerly was a barren, rock-strewn became a vast fruit-bearing garden thanks to the irrigation project that was undertaken 200 years ago. The mountain that was the center of the people's religious faith was enveloped in sky-scorching flames 100 years ago, formerly swathed in a thick green covering and seen as the home of the gods. The towering peak was transformed into a bare rock pile by a forest fire that burned for 3 days and nights. Almost everything that lived in the forest, birds and beasts of course, but many people too, died in the flames. The people in the village below mourned the horrible transformation of their god's abode, but now, 100 years later, the mountain is as green as ever. The people of the village and the people of the mountain still tell the story of the fire, but today's children can hardly imagine that the rich green slopes were once charred and blackened. Restored though it is to the original green lushness, of course, the mountain could well be enveloped in flames again, 100 years from now, 200 years from now, or even tomorrow. Even if it should be charred again, however, trees would sprout anew. The birds and beasts and insects chased away by the fire would return to their homes, and, given enough time, the mountain would be covered in green as before. Such are the workings of nature. Given enough time, dizzying stretches of time. But no, to become dizzy at the thought of vast stretches of time is a privilege of the ordinary folk, those who have no choice but to devote all their energies to living in the present. How fortunate they are to be able to look back to the past of 1,000 years ago like an old man telling a child a fairy tale. Once upon a time, a long, long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away. And how truly fortunate one would be to be able to tell the story of this country's future as a rosy dream, the way children relate their own dreams of the future with flashing eyes, and to entrust that dream to their next reign. Ming stands at the window like this every morning. It is a special time of day for her, when she thinks about the livelihood of her subjects, watches for signs of enemy intrusions, and ponders measures she might wish to adopt. She has done this every day without fail for the past 1,000 years. The country has flourished. The people no longer starve as they did when she first took the throne. Future historians will no doubt sing the praises of Ming's 1,000-year reign. She will be extolled as the 1,000-year-old queen, and her noble figure will be vividly engraved in people's memories. Cherishing these memories of her, however, people will die long before she does. The historians who praise her too, instead of witnessing her reign to its end, will themselves become a part of history. Ming has been queen for the past 1,000 years, and probably will be for the next 1,000 years as well. Her Majesty has an excellent spirits again this morning, I trust. She hears the voice behind her. Her gaze still fixed on the streets of the city below, Ming answers, "You're early today." Not so early if Her Majesty herself is already observing the smoke rising from the cauldrons of her people. She need not turn to ascertain the identity of the smiling face behind her. It belongs to Nagram, her senior minister. The smile is courtly, genial, but deep within the narrowed eyes she knows there resides a dark gleam. Ministers get such a bad rap. Today I will accompany Her Majesty in the inspection of the troops. You? Yes, owing to a slight change in assignments today. Is that so? I am hardly up to the task, but I will do my best if Her Majesty will allow me to serve her in this capacity. I beg her permission. You're playing the toady part way too hard. With her back still turned to Nagram, Ming gives a silent nod. Ah yes, she thinks to herself with a bitter smile. Their plan goes into action today. Ming has sensed for a very long time that Nagram is up to no good. He apparently has seized command of certain units of the Royal Guard. Scattered throughout the city, too, his people are lying low, ready to set fires as soon as his orders come down. No doubt about it. Today, when the regular ceremonial inspection of the troops is scheduled to take place, is the perfect day for a coup. A coup! When the Grom leaves, Ming enters her office and summons Hans, the most senior of her ministers, a true elder statesman and her most trusted confidant. Hans, who sports a luxurious beard, has served Ming for over 40 years. Your Majesty, I understand the Grom was here earlier. Yes, apparently he is to accompany me in the inspection of the troops. This is all she has to tell him. Stroking his bushy beard, Hans says, "That means they've run out of patience." "I know," replies Ming. "I'm sure they can't wait to get started." What a fool Negrom is. He has absolutely no idea that your Majesty has been letting him set his own trap. If he were smart enough to realize that, he would be taking at least 2 more years to make his preparations. Then he would have much more power at his disposal. He could link up not just with the Royal Guard, but also the main body of the army and the police force. He could conspire with external enemies and arrange for them to invade just as the ceremonies were getting underway. Then his coup would probably succeed. If he had the long-range vision to include the wealthy merchants and the intelligentista among his allies, he might even be able to mount a revolution that would overthrow the monarchy itself. That is what I would do if I were Negrom. As long as I was undertaking a coup, I would think about that much at least. Hans' smile could not hide the fact that all this talk of successful revolution was making him uncomfortable. Her Majesty is unmatched by an enemy except one, Her Majesty herself. You may be right, Ming thinks. If she had an enemy with an eternal life like hers who was willing to devote all the time needed to planning a revolution, be it a whole century or even 2, the result would surely go beyond revolution and develop into a full-scale civil war. Human lives, however, are limited in duration, and because of this limitation, humans rush to achieve results before they are ready. Negrom is one of them. If he could live 200 years, to say nothing of 1,000, he would not be trying to take up arms at such an in-between point in time. Still, says Hans, I have to admit that Negrom has extended his forces far more successfully than I ever imagined. What have I been doing all this time? I am utterly ashamed of myself. Don't let it bother you, Hans. Thanks to your inattention, we will probably be able to smoke out many more rats. Ming gives a satisfied chuckle. Nor is this mere bravado on her part. They chose not to arrest Negrom at an earlier stage, but allowed him to swim free for a while in order to take this opportunity to net the entire force of rebels, both inside and outside the palace. Yes, I know, Hans replies and goes on to explain the plan for crushing the coup. His plans are impeccable. The coup has virtually no chance of succeeding. All they need to do is carry out a wholesale arrest of the rebel Royal Guard unit that rises up in the palace, and the partisans lurking in the city, and it will be some time before any more individuals with outsized ambitions show up again. This will be our first purge in 15 years, Hans remarks. Has it been that long? It certainly has, Your Majesty. This fine beard of mine was jet black last time. Maybe you're not doing such a great job if all these people are, planning coups successfully, somewhat successfully. People always have ambitions, but they shouldn't be able to find allies so easily. Hans commanded the troops that put down the coup 15 years ago. Loyal, courageous, and cool-headed, he is the ideal staff officer. Without a doubt, he is one of the very best military advisors Ming has had in over 1,000 years on the throne. How selfish of me, Hans. I should have let you retire years ago. That is out of the question, Your Majesty. Serving you is my life. I am deeply honored to have this final opportunity to be of service. I don't like the way that sounds. True. Not even this superb retainer could be with her throughout all eternity. In another 5 years, 10 at the most, Hans, like other loyal retainers of the past, would be laid to rest to the sound of military cannons. It is always like this. Just as the ambitious ones rush to make their mark because they cannot live forever, the loyal ones in whom she can place her complete confidence stake their very lives on serving her because they cannot live forever. They carve their names in a single line of history, and then they depart from Ming for the rest of eternity. Ming herself, though, goes on living. Eternal youth, immortality. So this is the dream of humanity, is it? None of them knows the loneliness of eternal life. This is Keim shtick. We've got this before. When Hans next addresses Ming, there is a new urgency in his voice. About the troops that will quell the uprising. I will command the ones outside the palace. Do I have Her Majesty's permission to put command of the interior palace guards in the hands of my young protege, Jan? Ah yes, Jan. He may be young, but he is extremely capable. I have nurtured him carefully. I know he will serve Her Majesty splendidly after this old soldier is gone. I would like to give him the opportunity to distinguish himself in the current emergency. Ming herself is fully aware of Jan's outstanding qualities. Young as he most certainly is, he far excels the other Chamberlain in both the civil and military arts. He is undoubtedly the prime candidate to succeed Hans as Ming's top general. What are Her Majesty's thoughts on the matter? Alright then, let him take charge. Her Majesty has my unbounded thanks. I am sure Jan himself will be deeply moved to learn that he has earned Her Majesty's confidence. Hans all but prostrates himself before, an expression of relief on his face at having obtained Ming's permission. But still he continues. Her Majesty has been wary of Nagram for a very long time. True, she says. Oh, is this going to end with Hans or Jan betraying her? Meanwhile, this old soldier of yours had no idea whatever that Nagram might be planning a rebellion. I am deeply ashamed to confess it now, but to me, he seemed the very model of loyalty. How is it that Her Majesty was able to see Nagram's actual disloyalty? Ming only smiles without answering his question. The same thing happened at the time of the coup 15 years ago, Hans continues. The only reason that we were able to suppress the revolt before it even got started was that Her Majesty saw it coming before anyone else. Then as now, I was blind to the traitor's plot. If you say so, Hans. Has Her Majesty forgotten? Well, it was so long ago. Ming tries to evade the issue. There's no way she could have forgotten. The ringleader of the coup 15 years ago was her most trusted retainer. When she first broached the subject to Hans and the others, warning them to be on their guard against the man, all without exception insisted that he, above all, was beyond reproach. In the end, Ming's suspicions proved to be correct. She knew, however faithfully he carried out her orders, however warmly he swore his loyalty. She knew. These days, however, she had begun to wonder on occasion if that is something to be grateful for. The landscape is not the only thing that changes in 1,000 years. People's hearts also change. After numberless meetings and partings over the centuries, Ming has come to realize the fragility, the evanescence, to save me from the nothing, of trust. She no longer trusts anything in words, neither can she fully trust everything in action. It's getting dry. She knows by looking at a person's eyes. That way, she can tell everything, to a mysterious and disheartening degree. In the eyes of all those people, in the eyes of all those who would bring harm to this country, without exception, there resides a dark gleam. It is in there in all of them. The man plotting a coup, the man secretly involved with foreign enemies, the man fattening his purse with heavy taxes wrung from the people, the female spy who seduces high ministers to extract state secrets, the man who accepts huge bribe from merchants eager to pay for the glory of becoming an official purveyor to the royal household. Neither their words nor their deeds give them away. Often the man himself has no idea of the misdeeds he will later commit, but Ming can tell. Only Ming, who's lived for 1,000 years. The silent voices tell her, "Be careful of this man. Don't take your eyes off that woman." This was not the case in her youth, but having repeatedly tasted the bitter experience of betrayal, having been assailed by her own regrets and self-reproach, she has learned to doubt. Ming can see what no one else can, the dark gleam deep in the eyes. This has enabled her to ward off a variety of disasters before they could start. The kingdom has managed to flourish because Ming has more often chose to doubt than to believe. This is the best course of action for her to follow as a queen. It is, however, an infinitely lonely way to live. Nagram's coup collapses in an instant. The rebel units of the Royal Guard, who draw their swords against Ming during the inspection of the troops in the plaza, become the prey of Yan and his men, who have been hiding around the perimeter. Meanwhile, the anti-rebel forces under Han's command pounce on Nagram's followers, who have been gathering to set fire to the city and arrest them without resistance. Poor Nagram grovels on the earth, begging for his life. To him, Ming says only, "I grant you the right to die with honor." A soldier lays a sword before Nagram. Wordlessly, Ming conveys to Nagram that it is time for him to take his own life. She turns on her heels and returns to the palace under armed escort. This will keep anyone from having thoughts of fomenting a rebellion, for a while at least. The peace of the kingdom has been preserved, but it will not last forever. When the memory of Nagram's coup begins to fade, 10 years from now, or 20, or even 100, another man with ambition will emerge, as it has happened so many times before. It is the role of the queen to accept this endlessly repeating cycle, Ming tells herself, sighing. This is sad. Ming is standing at the palace window, surveying the city streets below, when Yan enters the room. "Your Majesty, I'm here to report that Nagram successfully took his own life a short while ago." "Oh? Did he dispatch himself with dignity?" "He did. Traitor though he was, he died in a way befitting a commanding general. Return his body to his family with all due ceremony." Is she going to see the gleam in Nagram? Oh, yeah. She turns and stares straight at Yan, whose spine stiffens under the onslaught of her gaze. And then she sees it, without a doubt. That dark gleam flashes deep within his eyes for one fleeting instant. So Yan is another one, is he? She thinks with a bitter smile. Unable to fathom the meaning of her smile, Yan is at a loss for words. Jeez. "Thank you for all your efforts," Ming says to him, suppressing a sigh. She turns to the window again. The sky stretches overhead in an expanse of blue. The only thing unchanged for the past 1,000 years may be the blue of that sky. But still, I'm queen, Ming tells herself, meditating on her role. I'm the one who rules this country and maintains the people's happiness. She gazes long and hard at the sky, rising to her full, proud height. Oh look, it's Queen Ming! A little boy in an alleyway below the castle spots Ming and begins waving at her wildly. Queen Ming! Queen Ming! A woman, the boy's mother no doubt, charges out of a doorway and, bowing humbly to Ming, begins scolding the boy for his rude behavior. Ming herself, however, waves back at him, a placid smile on her face. Smiling joyfully at this unexpected response for Her Majesty the Queen, the boy starts jumping up and down, shouting, "Long live Queen Ming! Long live Queen Ming!" Ming stares again at the sky above. Unchanged though it has been for 1,000 years, the blue of the sky penetrates more deeply into her eyes and her heart than it ever did in the days of her youth. End. Yeah, switched it up a little at the end, huh? I guess that served the point of explaining how she knew what was about to happen.
この先の流氷域を突破するには船体で氷を砕きながら進まなければなりません。ホワイトバーなら氷を砕くことができます。
ああ、確かにノーチラスじゃ氷相手には力不足だな。今度ばかりはこっちの分が悪いな。
すみません。でもノーチラスには他に真似できない高い機動性があるではありませんか。またお世話になる時が来ます。その時は力を貸してください。
おう、任せときな。
ホワイトボアならノーチラスを収容できるはずだよ。場所によって使い分けるのが良さそうだ。
そうですね。では私は先に港に向かい出港の指揮を取っていましょう。
Is the white bow at the ship that looks like a giant shoe?
ミン、
何です？
戻るのか。俺たちの世界ではなくこの国に。それでいいのか。1000年は長いぞ。
この世界に大切なものがたくさんできたのです。カイム、あなたはどうするの
Tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna hit a save point. Or let's wait until we at least get out into the world map again before I quit. Whoa, when did we make all that gold? Oh. Oh, okay. There. Oh, finally we get to go through here again and check all these. Alright, I'm definitely quitting for the night then. Well, it's been fun, and I will catch you guys next time. Hopefully I'll stream next time, too. We'll see. Things are getting weird for me. Bye.